Are you coming in on another device, Silas? Okay.
No, I'm just going in. Whoa.
Yeah, I let you in because I saw your
I
name
missed
there.
it.
Okay. You can try that if you want.
Yeah, I accidentally clicked leave meeting, but I'm going to leave the meeting on Google or whatever I'm using. So
I see. I'm letting you in. Oh. See if that works.
Hey, I can see you guys'
Yay! That worked, whatever you did. It must have been whatever server you were using or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was joining through my browser, but not the actual Zoom client.
Ah. Cool. Good job figuring that out. All right, we're going to start on page 73 in the grammar book. Page 73. Talking about VSS opener. So we've been learning the different openers to use. This is something that's only unique to this particular program. So it's cool. And I know I've told you this before, different openers like LY opener or clausal opener. There's lots of different ones. There's 6 total. So this is the 6th one. VSS stands for very short sentence. So yeah, that's what they came up with. So sometimes in your writing, to give it style, you want to vary the sentence length. It sounds odd, but it actually makes it easier. Actually, it's kind of gives it more style and makes it a little more interesting to read if you vary your sentences. So this is something eventually that we're going to start incorporating with our writing part of the class. But a very short sentence is 2 to 5 words. Sentence means it must have a main clause. Here's an example of a 3-word sentence. Robin sought adventure. This sentence is short because it only has 3 words, and it is a sentence because it has a main clause. It is a very short sentence, or VSS opener, number 6. So you have a subject and verb. That's what it classifies a main clause, is having a subject and a verb. So here, this is how you're going to mark it. Write 6 with a circle around it above the first word of a very short sentence. The wet log wobbled. You have the log is the subject, wobbled is the verb.
Why is 6?
Because each one of these, that's a good question. Each one of these openers, there's 6 of them total, and they're just numbering them. So when you go to label them in your book, this is the last one. Actually, on that note, if you could just look back really quick with me at the front of your book right here. This will make sense to you. Way back way up at the front, 4 pages in, you're going to see this chart. There's not a page number on this page, but it's 4 if you turn it, to the 4th one. Here under stylistic techniques, you've got number 1 subject opener, number 2 prepositional opener, number 3 ly adverb opener, number 5 clausal opener, and number 6 VSS opener. And yes, we're missing number 4. And that must be because you learned that in level C. So you have 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. So these are just labels that they gave these openers. That's why VSS is a number 6 opener. All right, back to our page 73. A run-on, we're going to talk about run-on sentences, occurs when a sentence has main clauses that are not connected properly. In week 11, you learned about a fused sentence. It's 2 main clauses placed in one sentence without any punctuation between them. This is one type of run-on error. But then there's also one called a comma splice. And it is 2 main clauses placed in one sentence with only a comma between them. This is the second type of run-on error. The easiest way to fix both of those errors is to place a period at the end of each main clause. So something to be aware of when you have two complete thoughts, they really should be two separate sentences. Sometimes we tend, by accident, we'll make it into one big sentence. It's too much. So when you find it, you're going to look for two main clauses that have only a comma between them, and then correct a comma splice by replacing the comma with a period. Capitalize the first word of the new sentence. Here's an example of how you would fix it in this book for your homework. Robin noticed a log across the stream. The log looked sturdy. So originally that was one long sentence, but because they both have a subject and a verb, they're both main clauses. It really should be two separate sentences. So you would take out the comma and put a period. There are also imposter ly adverbs. An imposter ly adverb is a word that looks like an adverb because it ends in ly, but is actually an adjective. Although many adverbs end in ly, some adjectives also end in ly. If the ly word describes a noun or a pronoun, it is an imposter ly adverb. Only adjectives describe nouns. So here it says, write adv above each adverb and adj above each adjective. The sturdy log safely spanned the chilly stream. So here's an example of an imposter. We have chilly. It ends in ly, but it's not an adverb. It's not modifying the verb. It's modifying the noun. Same here. Safely spanned. That's actually an adverb because it has an ly, but this one, sturdy, doesn't have an ly, so that's not a good example, but it is an adjective describing the log. So here's the imposter one, chilly. Another one would be like ugly. Ugly has an ly, but it's not an adverb. It's actually an adjective describing something. So just keep in mind when you see those lys, sometimes they're adjectives and you don't want to accidentally mark them as an adverb. All right, do you have any questions about this page? If not, shake your head. Okay. 75. Let's see. Josh, could you read this one for us, please?
Robin Hood roamed.
Yes.
Robin Hood roamed through the forest. He searched for adventure.
Good. And roamed is our vocabulary word, and it basically means walked or traveled without a fixed purpose or direction. So basically wandering is another word for wandering, is roamed. Okay, check that. Articles, you know what to do there. A and the, go ahead and find them. There's only one. That's easy enough. Nouns, Joey, we need 3 nouns.
Robin, forest, and adventure.
Yes. And it's actually Robin Hood. So I'm going to put a little bracket like that, since it's a proper noun. Good. Okay. Pronoun. Silas, what's the pronoun here?
He.
Yep. I'm going to come back to the prepositional phrases. So we're looking for 2 main clauses now. So Josh, what's one of the main clauses? Remember, they're going to have a subject and verb. There's 2 of them here.
Robin Hood roamed through the forest.
Correct. Yep. So put a bracket around that. And then Joey, what's the other main clause?
He searched for adventure.
Good. And you're probably already noticing they used a comma, and that's what we just talked about in the lesson. These are 2 main clauses, so they really should be separated with a period. So go ahead and just draw that little squiggly line to take out. I know my marker is kind of thick right here, but take out the period, take out the comma and place a period between. And that, now we can check off main clauses, and we can also check off the comma.
And end marks.
In marks, we can add a period here.
No, and you have one, you change the comma to a period, so that counts as one as well.
Correct. Okay, thank you. Okay, and then I'm adding the second period here. So yeah, we can check off 2 end marks. And then back to this subject verb pair. So Silas, what are the verbs in these sentences here?
Roamed and searched.
Correct.
So Robin Hood roamed and he searched.
Yep. You got it. How about Joey or sorry, Josh? The openers, there's 2 sentences now, so we have 2 separate openers here. So what do you think this sentence, what kind of an opener is this one?
Subject,
Correct. Do you remember what number that is?
isn't that number 1?
It is. Good job. So I'm just going to put a 1 and then put subject. And then Josh, what about the second one? Or Joey, I mean. Sorry, I don't know why I'm confusing you guys today. So every time I look at my Zoom call, you guys are switching spots. I don't know why, but anyway.
Wouldn't it also be a subject?
No, this one's the new one.
Oh, number 6.
Yep, and number 6, which is VSS. He searched for adventure, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So anything between 2 and 5 is considered a VSS. So good. Now we can go back to prepositional phrases. So Silas, there's 2 of them here.
What's a prepositional phrase again?
Good question. It starts with a preposition, and there's a list of prepositions in your book. But the reason why I save it to last is in this book, it's easy to spot if it doesn't have a label on it. That's going to be
Through and for are the starters. So through the forest and
There
for
you go.
adventure.
Yep. Exactly. So much easier to find it at the end like that. So good. So through is the preposition, and then the phrase ends on a noun. Same here. For is a preposition, ends on a noun. And if you need to ever go back and look at what that list is, there's one in the back of your book too, of all the different prepositions. 3 capitals, you guys already know that. Robin Hood, and then the new sentence, he. That's it. It's pretty quick today. Any questions about this page? I see you shaking your head. Good. Okay. All right. That's it for grammar today. So we can set that aside. Okay. So as far as the writing part of class, you should have turned in your Odysseus and the Cyclops version of the story. Did you guys get to finish that? Joey's nodding. Did you finish, Josh?
I still have very little to do because I want it long.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You're the one that's, yeah, I haven't looked at it yet. So as soon as you turn it in, extra credit. Got to go for that. How about you, Silas? Did you get to finish yours? Are you going to be able to turn it in today?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't
So
know
that
though.
was the, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know though. I said probably.
Okay. That was the homework assignment due last night. By the way, and I usually put homework due week of blah, blah, blah. That just means the night before class, you should have it turned in. That's your due date. So yours should be turned in Monday night. And I like it turned in by 5 p.m. is best so that I have time to look at it. But anyway, if it's late, I know there's a lot going on right now. So we're at the end of the year. So there is a little bit of leeway there. So, Joey, do you, and this is optional, do you feel like sharing what you wrote in class, or it's up to you if you want to, but.
Not really.
Okay, well, that's honest. You don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I could share what I have.
All right, I'm curious. Yeah, that would be cool. Can you just read it to us? Okay. Whenever you're ready.
I had done.
Okay.
Odysseus was a young Greek man and was known to be very clever. He and his friends were in a great war for months. And when the war was over, they set sail and found an island. So they docked at the island, only to find one-eyed Cyclops. These creatures lived in caves, and this in particular Cyclops' name was Polyphemus. And he owned sheep in his cave. When the sun started to set, he moved a giant boulder covering the cave entrance. And while it was open, Odysseus and his men snuck into the cave and hid in a corner. After the Cyclops got his sheep inside and rolled the rock back, he lit a fire and found these men hiding in a corner. He asked Odysseus if they were pirates, and he responded, No, sir, we are soldiers trying to return home to our families from a great war. Not being pleased with the story, he grabbed the two men and threw them to the ground, and devouring what was left of them, leaving nothing behind. This left the whole crew in shock, in shock and fearing for their lives, wanting a way out. He didn't just do this once, he did it a multitude of times. Only a few remained and began to set a plan in place. Odysseus, the crew's captain, offered this ugly Cyclops some strong wine that he got from the king. And knowing how strong this wine was, he gave him 2 bottles of it, and the Cyclops became drunk and fell right asleep. They found a log that gave it a sharp point. They put it in the fire to give it a hard point. They got together his bravest men and told them to climb onto the Cyclops' chest and push the sharp log into his eye, making him blind. The Cyclops woke up in pain and with a scream ran to the rock and pushed the boulder out of the way, away from the entrance of the cave, screaming for help. None of the other Cyclops wanted to help him because they had no idea what was going on. So instead of helping, they asked what was wrong, and he said nothing in reply. He turned around and went to his cave, pulling the boulder back to cover the cave entrance till tomorrow morning. And that's as far as I got.
Okay, nice. I like it, Josh. That's good. I really like it. I like the details that you added in there. And I picked up a couple of the ly adverbs, and you have who, which clauses in there and strong verbs. Are you still working on adding those?
I think I'm still working on adding those.
Yeah. So make sure to use your checklist, but I love it. I love the plot. You kept with the main theme, but then you added a few more details of what was really going on. So good
I
job.
still have to edit a lot of it too.
Okay. That's cool. I can't wait to read the final product. It's looking good so far. Thanks for sharing that with us, because it's fun to hear. So good job. Okay. So you guys are still working on this, so I'm not going to have you put it away yet, but we do need to get out the next week lesson because we're moving on now past Odysseus and the Cyclops. So keep that in the front since all 3 of you are still working on it. But go ahead and get out your binders, and we're going to take out the next section, which is week 6. And that should be the heart in the ox stall. And it's going to be pages, this is going to be behind your tab that's called source text. And you're going to take out week 6, which is this one, page 53. And then this one, which is page 55. And this one 59. So basically those 3 pages you need to take out of your binder. You already have yours out, Silas? Okay. So try to get the Odysseus and the Cyclops turned in soon so that you don't get too far behind. I know this is Tuesday, so if you could get it in by Thursday, that would be great. And then you have Friday and Monday to finish up this next assignment. The heart and the ox in the ox stall. So make sure you close your rings after you get those out. And we don't need this page. I just like you to keep it together with everything. So we're actually going to look at the source text, which is this one. It is a fable, and it is a lesson that we can learn. It's short. Fables usually are short, and they have a lesson we can learn, like Aesop's fables. Before we get too deep into that, though, I do want you to get out a lined piece of paper, because we're going to start by setting up the story sequence chart. So we're still in unit 3, which is the which is the retelling narrative stories using a story sequence chart. So go ahead and take these notes down before we read this story here. Go ahead and put your name on the top left. Today's April 18th. This is going to be the heart. And if you want to type out these notes, I'm okay with it, but it's going to be a little tricky because I'm making a chart here again. So I prefer you using lined paper and being a little old school with me today and write this out. So the heart in the ox stall, and then I want you to put story sequence chart. This is the last one we're going to be doing. We're going to move into a new unit after we're done with this one. But go ahead and write this out on a lined piece of paper. Okay, like we did before, we're going to skip 2 lines, and about in the middle, maybe a little bit to the left. I'm just going to have you draw a line down. Obviously, it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's crooked, so don't worry about it. Does not need to be perfect. And again, we're going to write on the right side of this Roman numeral 1, and you're just going to do 1, 2, 3. Move in a little bit when you write 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have you skip a line, do Roman numeral 2. And Roman numeral 3. Each Roman numeral is a paragraph. I don't know why something weird happened. Hold on. Okay, there we go. After you get those written out, go ahead and just trace the line across right on top of Roman numeral 1 and then this one here. So we're making that chart again. We did this for Odysseus and the Cyclops. So this is going to be similar to that. Obviously, this is a much shorter story, but we're still going to look for the same format. Do you remember what we put in the first box here? What are we introducing at the very beginning of a story? What do we introduce?
Characters and setting.
Good. Characters and settings. So go ahead and write that in. And we're answering some questions. We're answering who. And what is the situation? Or we're answering what do they like and what is the situation? And we're also answering where and when. What about this next block right here? What are we introducing in the middle?
Conflict and problem.
Yes, good. And I'm just going to write it problem first. And conflict. Good. And we're answering what? What is, and I'm just going to put a question mark here. So what does the character want or need? Think, say, and do. And those are all connected to the what question like that. What does the character want or need? What are they thinking? What are they saying? What are they doing? What is the problem? All right, what's in the last box?
Climax.
Climax. And resolution. Just a refresher, climax is that point of the story where you don't know if the character is going to die, or if they're going to end up with the girl, or if they're going to be happily ever after, or if it's tragic, if you know, we don't know. It's like that tipping point. The climax is, how's this going to end? So basically you're answering the question is, how is it solved? How solved? And sometimes there's a message to the story, and that would be where you would put it as at the end. So we got character setting, problem, conflict, climax, resolution. So Silas, I don't see you writing this down. I do want you to write it down, okay? So you have your notes there.
I'm typing.
Okay. Now we're going to look at check the time here really quick. Oh yeah, we're good. At the heart in the ox stall, we're going to read that, and then we're going to pull information from the story. So basically you're reading a story, putting it in your head, and then we're pulling it from your head to make an outline with it. So what we used to do was take sentence by sentence, but now we're taking concepts, right? And obviously you're looking for characters and information about the characters and stuff. So let's look at the story. Anybody feel like reading this story today? Okay, Josh, before you start though, a hart, H-A-R-T, is a male deer, in case you didn't know that. Like a doe is the female deer, but a hart is a male deer. And it's at least 5 years old. So they're actually, I think when they're younger than that, they're considered a buck. But a hart is actually older than 5. So typically deer don't live too long. So that's kind of an older one. And then, of course, ox is a strong male cattle farm animal. And what else? So a stall is like where they live. There's another word here that says truss. In the story, you'll come across a word that says truss, T-R-U-S-S. It's a pile or a bundle, basically. And then you'll also see the word learnt. Now, we don't use that anymore. That's kind of an old English term. Learned is how we use it now with ED. So they used to say learnt in Old English. So this is kind of an old fable that's been around for a while. Okay, Josh, whenever you're ready.
A hart hotly paused by the hounds, fled for refuge into an ox stall, wherein it buried itself in a truss of hay, leaving nothing to be seen but the tips of his horns. Soon after, the hunters came up and asked if anyone had seen the hart. The stable boys, who had been resting after their dinner, looked around but could see nothing. And the hunters went away. Shortly afterwards, the master came in and, looking around, saw that something unusual had taken place. He pointed to the truss of hay and said, "What are those two curious things sticking out of the hay?" And when the stable boys came to look, they discovered the hart and soon made an end of him. The thus learned, they
Yeah.
learned that nothing escapes the master's eye.
Yeah, good. I know it's the wording is weird. So it is written, like I said, years and years and years ago. I don't even know what year, but hundreds of years ago. And so the way they put their words together is just weird. They thus learnt. So anyway, it's just you did a great job reading that. And basically the lesson, there's a lesson we can learn here. Can you guys pick up on what that is? What can we learn from this story here? I mean, there's the obvious at the end. Nothing can escape the master's eye. So I'm guessing this guy in the doorway is the master. He looks important. Got his hand on his hip. And so even though the heart was trying to hide, there's still, you know, sometimes with a master, it could be your employer. If you work at, I don't know, Taco Bell or something, and you're trying to, you know, take a longer break than you should or something like that. Nothing will escape your employer. They will know, they will find out, kind of that type of a lesson to come from this. So, because the stable boys are basically the ones that work at cleaning the stables. They sound like they're young, and maybe they didn't pay attention to the details, right? They didn't see it. They didn't see the horns sticking up. By the way, this is like a cutout, obviously, of the pile of hay. We're seeing the inside, but that's not what they see. They just see the horns sticking out. So, okay, that's the lesson that you can learn from this story. Going to the story sequence chart, let's go ahead and start working on that. Starting with the characters. Who's the main character in this story? There's a couple of them.
The heart.
The heart, yep. So let's put that first. Main character, and what's happening? What is he doing at the beginning of the story?
Running from hounds.
Running from hounds, which are dogs, right? So he's being, I'm going to put chased because he's being chased by hounds. And then where does he go? Where does the heart go as he's being chased? Where does he end up?
Ox stall.
In the ox stall, good. Which is also a barn, but I'm going to put ox dash stall. We're going to count that as one word since it's hyphenated. And he's hiding in there. What is he hiding under?
Hey,
Hay. I'm just going to put hiding and hay. So basically what we're doing is, you know, we read the story, we got it in our head. Now we're regurgitating it. You haven't heard that word before. That's a farmer term because we have these ruminant animals like goats and sheep and cows. They, side note, because I happen to be a farmer and I have these animals, but when they eat, they actually regurgitate, meaning bring back to their mouth to chew again. So they chew their cud. You've probably heard that before. And then it travels to a different part of their stomach. So they have all these chambers and stuff. So when you say regurgitate, it just means you're taking in information and now you're bringing it back out like a goat, bringing back out the hay and chewing it again. Why we don't do that? That would be nasty. No, thank you. It's like when you throw up in your mouth, it's like, ugh. Anyway, okay. Who else do we have in this story?
the master,
The master. Who else besides the master?
the boys,
The boys, the stable boys,
The hunters.
and the hunters. Yes. So let's talk about the hunters next. And they come in the scene, and hunters came up and asked anyone if they've seen the heart. So in quotes, I'm going to put, I'm just going to put seen heart, because we can only have 3 words. So that's a question mark there. So hunters come on the scene and they go, have you seen the heart? And then after that, who comes in the scene, who comes in the story next after the
The
hunter?
master.
Before the master.
Stable boys.
Yeah, there you go, the stable boys. And what were they doing at the time?
Resting.
Resting. I'm just going to put resting. Stable boys resting. So here we go again. The rules are the same for these keyword outlines, 3 words maximum, and you can use symbols and all that for free. So we got that. Now, the stable boys are relaxing, and then they decided to look, and they're looking for the heart. So I'm going to use a symbol here now, and I'm going to put SB for stable boys, right? I'm going to circle the S here and circle the B, stable boys, SB. So here we are getting into the problem and the conflict. So they're looking for the heart. So they look, and then I'm going to put that they see nothing. I'm going to put that in quotes. I don't see anything. I see nothing. I see nothing. They look and they see nothing. And then at that point, so they're looking and they see nothing, and the hunters went away. And then the master comes in. I'm looking back at the story here just to refresh my memory too. Shortly afterwards, the master came in and looked around and saw that something unusual had taken place. So at this point, the hunters left. I feel like we need to include that. Basically, what the conflict or the problem is the heart is missing, right? Nobody knows where it's at yet. They can't find it. So that's the problem. And so the hunters, and I'm going to circle the H up here for hunters, and I'm going to put H for hunters here. They leave. The hunters leave. And that's a little trick for you guys. Just if you're going to use a symbol like this, just circle it wherever you initially used it to remind you what that abbreviation is for, or what that symbol is for. So they leave. And then this is where is the heart hiding?
A truss of hay.
Yes. So I'm going to put heart under hay. And in comes the last character, the master. And he goes into the barn or the ox stall. You can use that word interchangeably, ox stall or barn. And that's when he notices something unusual. So I'm going to put unusual here. Okay, again, so the conflict and the problem, that's where the heart is missing and they're trying to figure out, where did it go? Has anybody seen it? Nobody's seen it yet. But then it's starting to resolve here at the end. And it's the master is saying, he pointed to the truss of hay and said, what are those 2 curious things sticking out of the hay? And so he's basically yelling at the boys like, boys, what are those things sticking out of the hay? You totally didn't even see that. Are you blind? So the master, I'm going to circle M and put M here. The master sees odd tips of the antlers, right? We need the word antlers in here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cross out C's and put an eyeball. Just gonna fix that. C's, odd tips, antlers. Okay, so he sees it. And when the stable boys come in to take a look, they discover the heart and soon made an end to him. What does that mean? An end of him. What does that mean?
Butchered him,
Yeah,
killed him.
killed him. So they probably grabbed it. I don't know how they killed it, maybe with that pitchfork that's right there in the picture. So let's see. Let's put stable boys as SB. Made and kill. And then nothing escapes the master's eye, right? Nothing escapes master's eye. And that ended up kind of abruptly. This is a short story, right? So kind of ended abruptly. We're not going to worry about number 3 for this. When you go to write your story, so here's what we're going to do. This is kind of a little bit different right here. You're going to actually write your own version of this story. So you're going to keep with the same theme where you have these characters and something is missing. Like my little story about working, you could write about, you know, a friend or a cousin or somebody working at Taco Bell or at, I don't know, Walmart, and something is missing. Let's explore some ideas. It could be, I don't know, let's think, like, how could we change the characters, change the whole, what is missing and how they're trying to look for it and how the employer
Use it in like the old times, like the king was looking for a slave that ran off or something like
there
that.
you go. That's a good one. You could talk about a king that's looking for a slave. That's a good one. And nothing escapes the king's eye. So you want to keep with the same lesson. You could think, here's an example that's in the book. It's kind of silly, but what about a tick that's missing that you can't find in your dog's fur? I don't know, something like that. Or your little brother is missing, or a pocket knife is missing. And they're at the zoo or the airport, or I don't know. These are notes that are in the book of different ideas on what you could write about. But so basically, and if you're just completely, you have writer's block and you're like, I don't even know, I can't think of anything else, you can rewrite this exact story. Or if you want to be a little creative, you can create your own characters, your own setting, and your own scenario, keeping with the same theme. Does that make sense to you guys? Silas, you're shaking your head like you don't like that idea. I mean, if you want to just write this same story, you can. If you're just, you know, brain dead, Joey and Silas, this is funny. You guys are like, yeah, just give me the regular story. And Josh is the one that's like, no, I want to make up my own. That's cool. I see that you enjoy creative writing, Josh. That's good. And I do too, but I actually prefer more academic type writing, like a report on something, but everybody's got their own way and their own preference in writing. Okay, so once again, you're going to take this and either write this story again using your keyword outline, or changing up the characters in the setting and the situation, but something that's lost is what you're going to include. Okay, Josh, what's your question?
Is there a limit of how much we could write?
I love that. You literally are the only student that I have that asked that question. I'm going to say the same thing as I did before, because I don't want it to be, 5 pages long. So you can have, this would be a 4-sentence paragraph. I'll let you go up to 10, the nice round number. Okay. And then you want to still keep with the 3. Here's another idea. You could have this be your body of your story, and you can have a little introduction paragraph and a conclusion paragraph. So you could have 5 paragraphs. Okay. But I wouldn't go more than 10 sentences per paragraph. Here we only came up with 3. So you're going to have to come up with another sentence somewhere in here to make it at least a 4-sentence paragraph for the rest of you, because I know I won't have that problem with Josh. Let's look at the checklist really quick. This is on page 59. Oh, there is one more thing. I do want you to elaborate on something from the story. It could be that you elaborate. I know this is going to be easy for Josh, but I want to challenge Silas and Joey to do this too. Give a little background information about the stable boys. Like, are they brothers? Are they cousins? Are they friends from when they were in elementary school or something? Or give a little more information about the actual ox stall. Is it 100 years old and the paint is peeling, or there's boards that are missing? So include, because it sounds like Joey and Silas want to rewrite this story, which is fine. Give a little more detail somewhere in there. Could be even about the master. Like, where did he come from? And is he kind? Is he evil? Is he kind of confused? Give a little information about his personality. So you're going to pick one thing to elaborate on. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Give a little more background information. Here's your checklist. This is all pretty much the same up here. Don't forget, you will give it a new title. Once you're done with your 3rd paragraph, you're going to choose 1 to 3 words from your final sentence. So you can work with that. If you come up with a catchy title and you like it, something, and you want to make sure you include at least one of those words in your last sentence. Basically, that's that rule. Story follows the story sequence chart as far as the format. And then each paragraph contains at least 4. We're not going to go more than 10 on that. Down here, your dress up words are still the same. So you need to include an ly adverb. Be careful of those imposters that we talked about earlier. So like chili would be, did we talk about that in this class? Maybe it was my other class, but like chili ends with ly. We did. Okay. And that's not an adverb. That would be an adjective. So make sure you pay attention to that. Make sure it's modifying the verb. And then the who, which clause and a strong verb. Don't forget about your banned words. This is going to be tricky because seesaw is on here, and you're going to probably want to use that see or saw. So you'll have to come up with something different. We made a list the other day, last week, I guess it was, or a couple weeks ago.
Noticed.
Or spied or
Spotted.
spotted. Exactly. So do not use seesaw or say said, because I know that the master says some things in there. So he's going to have to like shout or questioned, like, where is the whatever? Okay. And then the mechanics, those are all the same at the bottom, the usual stuff. 3 paragraphs, 1 of these in each. So by the time you're done, you should have 3 words underlined in each paragraph. And that's pretty much it. As far as, and then your grammar. So you've got your 3 paragraphs and your grammar. Don't forget to use the checklist. This is how I grade it to see if you followed the checklist. So make sure you have this. And don't forget to read it to somebody or something when you're done, because when you read it out loud, you'll be amazed at a couple things you might forget or you need to fix before you turn it in. Well, we're a few minutes early, so there you go. Lucky you. Do you have any questions about homework or anything? You guys good? And the rest of you guys, make sure you turn in your Odysseus and the Cyclops. Don't forget that one. I need that one too. Okay,
I'll
that's it, you
turn it in
guys.
right after class.
Right after class. I see a chat here. I didn't see what this was. Oh, that's an old one. All right, you guys. I'll see you next week. Good job today.
What if I
Bye.
accidentally